This is the Louie Tee Network.
Who else could it be? Me, your me, Louie Tee. Welcome to lockdown coverage week number 14 in the National Football League. Indianapolis Colts, Houston Texans, AFC South lead on the line. Colts looking to avoid being swept by the Houston Texans this season. Should have won the first meeting in Houston, had a 14-point lead, blew it in the final 2 minutes of the game. Meanwhile, for the Texans, they're looking to get back on track, losers of 2 straight, trying to reassume control of this division. The Titans and the Colts now breathing down their neck, 3-way tie for first place. You want to win this division? It's December. It's time for you to play your best football of the season. And look, you have to take care of business in the division if you want to win the division. It's really simple. That's why I don't think the Colts are going to win this division, because they don't take care of business within the division. The Texans have thus far. And so if the Texans could get the sweep, go on the road and beat an Indianapolis Colts team that destroyed the Jets on Monday Night Football on the road just a week ago, that would make a huge statement to the rest of the division that, hey, this is our division. We run it. You want this division, you're going to have to take it from us. So this is a big game for both teams. But for the Texans, this was a statement game. Go on the road, beat the team that is looking to try to take this division away from you. At least one of the teams looking to take this division from you. Go and beat them. And so this was a big one for both teams. But for the Texans, who I think is the best team in this division, still, despite the struggles at the quarterback position, despite the injuries, still the best team in this division. They went out and they found a way to prove that, at least on this past Sunday, getting it done on the road. We'll talk about how they were able to accomplish that here in a second. But first, if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content 2016 and beyond. We're changing the game. I want you to help us do that by simply hitting that red subscribe button on YouTube to become a member of the Louie Tee Network. I'm also on Twitter, at In The Lab Room is the Twitter handle. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook. In The Lab Room is the Facebook page. All of my social media platforms in the screen up above, scrolling across, so you can't miss them. So go ahead and handle your business. Follow, like, and most importantly, subscribe to the Louie Tee Network on YouTube. That being said, let's jump into this breakdown. We start with the Houston Texans in this game and what they were able to do to get the 22-17 victory and run their record to 7-6 on the season, and getting the season sweep over the Indianapolis Colts, a huge tiebreaker there moving forward. So what I saw in this game was the Texans making a conscious decision to scale back how often they asked Brock Osweiler to throw the football. Smart on their part, okay? Over 20 carries for Lamar Miller, another 15 or so for Alfred Blue. You got a couple of touches for Grimes in there, a couple more touches for Akeem Hunt. That's the smart thing to do. Look, Osweiler, still not where you want him to be with this offense, and he's shown the ability and the propensity to make mistakes, turn it over. So why put it in his hands when you don't have to? You're having success on the ground. Lamar Miller eclipses 100 yards in this game, goes over 1,000 for the season. I really like Akeem Hunt. I've been telling you that for about a month now, strong. I really like him, and I think he needs to touch it more. So why not get him involved a little bit? Alfred Blue came in and spelled Lamar Miller very well in this game. Get him some touches. And then if you like Grimes and you want him to touch it a couple of times, why not? Again, the more you can take the ball out of Osweiler's hands and still be productive, the better it is for this Texans offense right now. And I thought Osweiler made some plays when he had to. Also could have made more mistakes. The Colts dropped an interception in the end zone. This was a game of missed opportunities and mistakes by the Colts. But take nothing away from the Texans. They did what they needed to do to win this football game. They made plays when the plays needed to be made. Look, they forced turnovers, And that's what this defense is going to have to do, create short fields for this offense. And it's a shame that the defense did what they did in this game, creating some very short fields for the Texans, and the Texans could not get it in the end zone. This game should not have been close. It should not have been as close as the final score indicates, because the defense got turnovers and turned those turnovers into great field position for the Texans offense. First and goal inside the 10-yard line twice, and the Texans had to settle for field goals. 2 Indianapolis Colts interceptions turned into 6 points with some great field position. That can't happen. At least one of those needs to be converted into a touchdown. Both had to be field goals. And so Nick Novak was huge for you in this game. And he's been a guy that has been inconsistent throughout his career, but he was magnificent for you in this game. He, if I'm not mistaken, banged home 5 field goals in this game, and that proved to be the difference in this game, is his ability to knock it through the uprights. A big miss by the Colts and Adam Vinatieri from 55. Novak comes back and drills it from 52. So you're making plays here. They're not. And that was one of the differences in this game. Colts driving to go get a score. Clowney with the big hit. Remember, he missed the game last week with an injury. Played this week. Made one of the biggest plays of the game. Colts going to get points out of this possession. They may even get into the end zone. Clowney comes from behind, hits Luck, strips him of the football, and it's recovered by the Texans. So a third turnover forced, and a big one by Clowney. This defense did what they had to do to find a way to go on the road and get a gritty win, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take all of the Texans units working together in unison to get it done. Special teams, which was huge. Nick Novak, 5 of 5 from distance in this game. You're going to need defense, 3 forced turnovers, getting the stops like the one at the end of the game when necessary to win. And it's going to take the offense taking care of the football and being efficient. They didn't always take care of the ball in this game. Osweiler did have an interception. Should have thrown another one in the end zone, but got away with one as the Colt defender wasn't able to come down with the football. I want to say it was their rookie Green that didn't come down with that football. Dangerous pass, dangerous decision, but he did not pay for it. But the running game was the catalyst for success in this game. And if you're going to run the football and have success, stick with it, something that the Colts fail to do week in and week out. And so you were able to do what you needed to do in all 3 phases of the game to find a way to win. Again, it wasn't pretty. It doesn't need to be. It just needs to be gritty and a W. And that's what it was in this game as the Texans get it done 22-17. This defense is really the key to what this team is going to do. Success, if you're going to have any of it, it's going to start with the defensive side of the football. They made some big stops in some short yardage situations. They made some big – they hit Andrew Luck a ton in this game. They pressured him. Didn't get a ton of sacks, but they harassed Andrew Luck, made life miserable for him, and that's what when you get the interceptions. Even when there isn't pressure, there was the first pick that Andrew Luck threw in this game, there was no pressure, but pressure had already been applied to him throughout the course of the game, and so you get mistakes like that when pressure is applied consistently, and so give some credit to this Texans defense for creating 3 turnovers, doing a good job of really bottling up Andrew Luck and making him uncomfortable, and doing what it took to get this game on the road against a team that was tied coming into the game with you atop the division. Big win for the Texans. Osweiler, again, not great. I thought he made some really tough throws when they needed them on that drive that saw the Texans get into the end zone and give themselves a little bit of, or I think they actually might have even settled for a field goal if I'm not mistaken. Either way, a big third down conversion to C.J. Fedorowicz. He did some good things in this game. Give Brock a little bit of credit. He's still a work in progress. And I'd like to see them I still don't think they're doing the right things in the passing game to highlight what right now would be the strengths of his game, which is getting the football out of his hands quickly to these playmakers. I still don't think they're doing a good job of that, but they did scale back what they're asking him to do, and they did run the football effectively, and if that's what's going to be your calling card offensively, so be it, and try to run play action off of it. If you move to the opposite side of this spectrum and the Indianapolis Colts, this is why they can't go to the playoffs. This is why I've been talking about them not being the team in the AFC South to beat, because of the lack of consistency. This was this was a through and through inconsistent performance. And let me say one more thing about the Texans before we jump into the Colts. I did not agree with Bill O'Brien at the end of this game settling for a field goal on 4th and inches with the game basically on the line. If you get the first down, the game's over. You win. And it's literally inches. It's not a full yard. It's inches. A quarterback sneak with a 6'8 quarterback, you'd like to think you should be able to pick that up. I'd like to think I could pick that up with my 6'8 quarterback. You kick a field goal there, and you're entrusting that your defense is going to get a stop, which they did. So, it didn't turn out to be a bad decision. I just didn't agree with it. Scared money don't make money. You know my mantra. You know my motto. Scared money don't make money. You're up 19-17. You're deep in Colts territory. A first down on 4th and inches with 2 minutes and let's call it 36 seconds left. You win. They have no more timeouts left. That first down would then get it to the 2-minute warning where you would take knees and win the game. Now you kick the field goal, you go up 5, and you say, I trust my defense to get a stop. And they did. Good for you. But I'm just telling you that if Andrew Luck goes down the field and puts a dagger in your heart, you're going to regret that decision. I didn't think it was the right one. It worked out. I don't want to sit here and beat you up for something that turned out to be the right decision. I just didn't like the decision when you can go and win the game. Don't put the football back in the hands of Andrew Luck and have T.Y. Hilton hurt you in the worst way. Win the game. You play to win the game. Go win the game. Let's get to the Colts, though. The reason why I didn't think they could win this division, and I was never sold, even after the ass whooping they handed out to the Jets last week, the reason I was never sold on this team is the inconsistency. We've seen it. They're the model of inconsistency in this division. We've seen it all season long. That's part of the reason why they haven't been at 500 or above it for most of the season. They can't string together consistency, can't string together multiple victories in a row. They can't put together good performances. They can't play as a unit in terms of all of their different collective units playing together as one. Special teams usually is something that they can rely on with McAfee and also Adam Vinatieri. Well, Vinatieri misses a field goal in this game. And yeah, it was 55 yards, but you've seen this man drill it from that distance before. McAfee does his job, boots the football. It's dying inside the 5. And you got 4 clowns down there fighting over who's going to down it at the 2, and they knock it into the end zone. Good job, fellas. Great job. So you get inconsistency out of the special teams. And this, to me, was a game of missed opportunities. The defense, too many mistakes. Pass interferences unnecessarily. You got some holding penalties on the defense, giving the Texans first downs. You give it up on the ground. Brock Osweiler is struggling. The defensive game plan in this game should have been, hey, look, load up the box, force Brock Osweiler to beat us. There's no way Lamar Miller, Alfred Blue, Akeem Hunt, Grimes, no one is beating us on the ground. Osweiler's going to have to do it with his right arm because we don't think he can. And you let the run game shred you and allow that to control the pace and tempo of the game and allow the Texans to kind of bypass having Brock Osweiler have to win this game. And instead, you let the ground game control and rule the day. And that's how they were able to get it done in this game, is running the football. They killed you with draws all game long and misdirections. And so I just felt like you had to stop the run in this game, and you didn't. So that was disappointing. And then on offense, the real disappointment here continues to be the lack of protection for Andrew Luck. He was hammered in this game. Hit consistently. One of his interceptions, he's getting drilled as he's trying to throw the football, throws it up for grabs, and Andrew Luck has to stop doing that. It's much better to just take the sack than to throw it up for grabs and get it picked off. That second pick shouldn't have happened. Eat the football, take the sack, and if you got to punt, you punt. You do not throw it up for grabs while you're getting hit and get it picked off. That's not what you do there. And really, he had excellent protection on that play. To be honest with you, he had plenty of time, then he starts running around, and as he's about to release the football, he gets hit from behind and it gets picked off. That's on Andrew Luck. The first pick was on Andrew Luck, had ample time. Who is he throwing the football to? Don't ask me. I don't know. Second pick on Andrew Luck. Plenty of time. He runs around, scrambles around, and then gets hit as he's throwing it and it gets picked off. Both of those picks squarely on the shoulders of Andrew Luck, but he was harassed in this game. Make no mistake about it, including on the fumble in the red zone. Clowney beating your left tackle, Anthony Costanzo, getting to Andrew Luck, forcing a fumble, and the Texans recover. Huge play in this game. Too many missed opportunities in this game. You got a chance to pick Brock Osweiler off in the end zone. TJ Green drops the football. Can't happen. You have to make plays if you want to win. If you want to beat the Texans, you got to make those plays and take advantage of opportunities. You just didn't do that in this game. 10 carries for Frank Gore. Why? 41 yards. He was running effectively. You saw what he did on the screen. Why? They do this week in and week out. I look up and Frank Gore, he's not getting the football enough. And you want to know why the Colts are one of the worst teams rushing the football in terms of not having a 100-yard rusher for X amount of time? They just got one like 3 weeks ago for the first time in like 2 years. This is why they don't give it to the running backs enough. Then they ask a guy who is under siege week in and week out to throw it 45 times. You're asking for trouble. And then you get the inconsistencies with the receivers, and mainly it was Philip Dorsett in this game. And he's struggling. He's lacking confidence right now. This is simply a confidence issue. Were the throws right on the money? No. But could he have caught them? Should he have caught them? Absolutely. He's struggling with it's mental. It's all mental. Nothing physical here. The guy's talented. It's all mental. People are beating this guy up. He understands the pressure that comes with being a first-round pick, and it's getting to him. He's crumbling under that pressure. Had he been a third-round pick, this guy would be performing at a high level right now because the pressure would not be as great. But when you're a first-round pick and you're not performing up to the standards that have been set for first-round picks around the league, you start to feel the pressure. He's crumbling under that pressure. He had a rough go of it. At least 3 drops in this game and probably another 1 or 2 catches that maybe should have been made that weren't. Andrew Luck didn't make the best throws in some of these instances, but you want to see this guy make a play. He did force a pass interference that led to points, but again, he can do more. He needs to do more, and he didn't in this game. He really let his team down with his play in this game. He has to be better. And my man Enrique said, look, man, he's the AFC version of Nelson Aguilar. I don't know if that's not true right now. Aguilar struggling with confidence. The Eagles actually sat him down 2 weeks ago and said, hey, you need to get your mind right. You're not playing this week against the Packers. You just sit down, clear your head, come back a different football player. Maybe the Colts need to do the same with Philip Dorsett because mentally he's struggling. Okay, things that used to come natural to him at the University of Miami, he's struggling with. And it's all upstairs. Nothing physical, all mental. And he struggled in this game as well. Didn't see much of Dante Moncrief in this game. I just thought they struggled offensively with any kind of rhythm. There was no rhythm to what they were doing offensively, and it showed. And 4th and 1, you're running a screen? Where they do that at? Since when is it cool to run a screen on 4th and 1? You need a yard, not 11, 1. Screen? Really? Hey, that's why the Colts will be at home watching the playoffs with the rest of us come January. Right there. This whole organization is just out of sorts. They need to recalibrate this thing in the offseason. And I don't know if that means Grigson and or your head coach, but Chuck Pagano, but something has to give. This needs recalibration. And it needs to start at the top. And like I said, I don't know if it's and or it's one or the other, but something needs to be done. It's just it's not impressive in Indy. And there's enough talent for this team to be better than what they are. And I just don't get why they're not consistent week in and week out. On the defensive side, I get it. There's not enough stuff there. They need more stuff. They don't have any elite pass rushers whatsoever. They need one of those. They need 2 of those, really. I get it. But offensively, this team should be scoring up over 30 points a game. And the fact that they're not, I think a lot of it has to do with play calling. I really do. I don't think that they put this team, if you know you have trouble protecting, there's ways around it, protection issues with the talent that you have, and Frank Gore still running at the level he's running at. There's ways around the lack of protection for Andrew Luck. And even when he's protected, he's not making the smartest decisions in the world. So, like I said, So it's really head scratching with this Colts team, but they're not consistent. And we saw it again in this game as they lose 22-17 to the Houston Texans. Texans get the season sweep over the Colts, get to 7-6. They're now in a two-way tie versus the three-way tie going into Week 14 with the Tennessee Titans now at 7-6. And those two still have one more matchup in Tennessee. And I think that's going to be for the division when it's all said and done. So Texans take care of business on the tiebreaker over the Indianapolis Colts. So they set out to go for the season sweep, and they accomplished their goal. Now they got to continue to play good football in the division, okay? They got Jacksonville coming up. They got to take care of that. You can't afford to lose to the Jaguars if you're the Texans. You got to sweep those boys. And if they can take care of business in the division, they're going to be just fine, are the Houston Texans. Let's get to your comments in this game. Enrique Valencia says, Dorsett is a bust. Allen is not a good tight end, and Moncrief has been disappointing this year. Let's go ahead and handle those one at a time. Dorsett, not a bust yet. He's trending in that direction, but again, it's early. He's only in year 2. Give him some time. Allen is not a good tight end. I disagree with you. I think he's inconsistent, but you've seen when he's on what he can be against the Jets on Monday night last week. When he's going well, he could be a fixture in this Colts offense. I don't think they do a good enough job of including him in what they're doing. They throw it to Jack Doyle more than they throw it to Dwayne Allen. That being said, Moncrief has been dealing with injuries all season long, and that's part of the reason why he's had a disappointing campaign. When you're not in there as often, it's hard to get into a rhythm and a flow. And I don't even know if he was targeted more than 2 or 3 times in the game on Sunday versus the Texans. So hard to really get involved when you're not even getting targets. So it's been frustrating. That's why I said the inconsistency with this Colts team is sickening and maddening if you're a Colts fan, because you know that you have the talent and it's just not being utilized correctly, if you ask me. Jake Butler says, do you think this game officially kills the Colts' chances of making the playoffs, winning the division? Well, the only way you're getting into playoffs in this division is winning the division. So, yes, this it doesn't kill it, because the Colts could win their final 3 games of the season. The Texans could lose 2 out of 3, and the Titans could lose 2 out of 3. But the reality of it is the Colts have been inconsistent all season long. So what lends itself to them winning 3 straight? They haven't won 3 games in a row all season long. The likelihood of them doing that at the very end of the season after not being able to do it all year, highly unlikely. So it doesn't kill their chances, but it lessens the likelihood that they win the division and make the playoffs. I think they had realistically about a 45 to 50% chance of making it going into this game. And after this loss, I think their chances have decreased to about 30% after this loss. Enrique Valencia says, should the Colts get a wide receiver in free agency? They lead the league in drops this year. I don't think you need a receiver necessarily. If a guy that's a veteran is out there that you like and he's not going to cost you a ton of money, sure, why not? But you don't need to draft another receiver. You got a young nucleus of receivers that I think are just fine. If you want to add a veteran to the mix, really what I feel like you need a big body receiver. You don't have that right now in Indy. You got a bunch of small guys. Moncrief is the biggest one you really got that you can trust to throw the football to, but he's not a guy that's going to go up and climb the ladder necessarily. You could use a 6'3", 6'4" target, and if you have to go to the draft and get one, so be it. But you could use a bigger target for Andrew Luck, I think. But I don't think that the receiving core is a necessary, fix for this football team. Yeah, you lead the league in drops. If that is in fact true, I can't confirm nor deny that. But the bottom line is it's not just the receivers that have been a problem this year. It's been the entire team that's been a problem. Defense, offense, and in this game, special teams as well. Enrique Valencia says, I was not a fan of the goal line play where Allen was matched up with Clowney one-on-one. Okay, so that's a situation where he's got, Luck is moving away from him, but no. If Allen is blocking him one-on-one, and I think I said earlier it was Costanzo, because I just knew it came from the left side. I didn't exactly see who was blocking him. I wasn't paying attention enough to see the details of it. But if it was one-on-one with a tight end, I don't like that scheme either, where you asking your tight end to block a premier pass rusher That's not the way to do it in this league. You're asking for a forced fumble there in that situation. Not a fan of that either. So if that is in fact what was the case, he was one-on-one with Dwayne Allen, then you were asking for Andrew Luck to get hit from the blind side and fumble, and that's exactly what happened. Enrique Valencia says, first interception was on Allen. He fell down on the route. I didn't see him. I didn't even see him on the ground. So if he fell down on the route, I didn't even see him in the picture. Like, there was no one there but the intercepting player, which was Demps. I saw no one. I didn't even see a guy on the ground. So even if he was supposed to be over there, he was not even in the picture. Normally when a guy falls down, at least you see him on the ground. I saw no one. So for what it's worth, and again, that could be the case, I'm just telling you, I didn't see anybody in the vicinity of that throw. Obviously, something went wrong, and if he fell down, I don't even know if he was on his feet, if he would have still been able to catch that football. Again, I saw no one in the vicinity. Mazer underscore 12 says, do you think Bo will improve next year, having been in the system for a full year once this season ends? So he's talking about Brock Osweiler, B.O. I do. I've been singing patience. I've been praising patience with Brock Osweiler because everyone's killing him. Everyone from the outside looking in, and even some Texans fans have been going to work on him, and for good reason. But again, we're talking about a guy that this is his first time starting as an NFL quarterback. Consistently saying, you're the guy, this is your team, new offense, new verbiage, everything's brand new to this guy. Give him time. Like Kirk Cousins, his first time starting, it wasn't pretty at first. He got benched. When they gave him the opportunity, he got benched because he was turnover prone. And then when he finally got an opportunity to be the guy, and they gave him the keys to the car, he played better. It's all about confidence, and confidence comes from knowing your responsibilities in the offense. And right now, I don't think they have clearly defined his role in this offense, and it's hard to do that on the fly. I think he'll be much better next season in this offense. And I'm sticking to that. That's been my story all along, and I'm sticking to it. Deron Johnson says, congrats on your win. Will the Ravens beat the Patriots? They can. I don't see them doing it. But if anyone knows how to beat the Patriots, if anyone's not afraid to go into Foxborough and beat the Patriots, it's the Baltimore Ravens. So I expect a really good football game. If they can score points offensively, they've got a chance because defensively, they're good enough to beat the Patriots. Offensively is where they struggle in my mind. And even though they put up 38 last week against the Dolphins, that's not who they really are. And I don't see them doing that this week. We'll see what happens in that game. Jake Butler says, do you think the Texans will be able to take care of business down the stretch against the Jags and the Bengals and then the big game versus the Titans to win the division? Yep, I do. They play the Bengals well. We've seen that. Even when they were bad last year, they went on a Monday night. Remember, Bengals were undefeated. They go on a Monday night and beat the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals aren't good. They're nowhere near that team anymore. They know how to play the Bengals. They're going to beat the Jags because they understand that we can't afford to lose to the Jags. And then you're going to set up a monumentally huge matchup week 17 against the Titans on the road. That's going to be for all the marbles most likely. We'll see what happens. The Titans have a big one on the road versus the Chiefs coming up. So that should be intriguing to see how that one goes. If they go on the road and beat Kansas City, look out. That's all I'm going to say. Look out. But in any event, that's going to be really fun to see how this division unfolds in the final 3 weeks of the season. If you're the Texans and you want to win this division, you beat Jacksonville, you beat Cincinnati, and really you need to finish this season up on a 4-game winning streak. Go into the playoffs with confidence and see what happens. But we'll see what happens in any event. This is going to be a fascinating division to see how it unfolds. Whoever wins this division deserves. This isn't like last year where you're like, okay, the Texans got in, but they got in by default. Whoever gets this division is going to earn their way in. It's going to be a solid football team that on any given Sunday can beat anyone else around the league. So this is a real division this season, and I want to see how it's going to shake out. That being said, that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure if you're addressing a comment to me, you use the hashtag #LouieTeeLive for future references. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on Lockdown Coverage as the Indianapolis Colts fall at home to the Houston Texans 22-17 dropping their record to 6-7, and for all intents and purposes, making their road to the playoffs really rugged and tough. Meanwhile, the Texans complete the season sweep of the Indianapolis Colts, getting the win, getting to 7-6, remaining atop the AFC South division, and they've got the outside track to winning this division, or I should say the inside track to winning this division. The key is winning down the stretch against teams you're supposed to beat. You're supposed to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're supposed to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Will you do that is anybody's guess. Only time will tell. In any event, remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. I will see you guys a little bit later on. Got many more games to break down in week number 14. So come back and join me. I'll see you a little bit later on. Have a good one.